Yes, what do you mean by reproduction? See, reproduction is the fundamental feature of each and every organism. Okay, once it is born means the ultimate goal of that organism is to produce its own type. Okay, in order to continue its species or the race or the family, right? So, and such a phenomena or such a process is called as a reproduction. So, how can you define reproduction then? How can you define reproduction? It is a process of the production of the offsprings of its own type. That is very important here. Okay, reproduction is nothing but it is a process of production of offsprings, of its own type, by individuals through sexual act. So here, when the sexual act is included, it directly refers to the sexual mode of reproduction. That we can observe in the human beings, right? Is there any asexual mode of reproduction occurs in human beings? Like budding or fragmentation, right? No such methodology is present in human beings, right? Only the sexual mode of reproduction is present. So, here reproduction is nothing but it is a process of recreating own type of individual or its own type of an offspring, right? For example, the human beings give birth to the individual which resemble humans only but not any other animal, right? Like monkey give rise to the birth of monkey only. Elephant give rise to the birth of elephant only but not the donkey, right? So this phrase emphasizes the meaning of that reproduction. It is a process of production of the offspring of its own type only. Okay. But how it is being produced here means through an sexual act. This production or the process involves the sexual act or the copulation or the sexual intercourse. With respect to the reproduction, what type of an organism human being is? Yes. With respect to reproduction, what type of organism human beings are? So with respect to the reproduction, the humans are, first one is sexually reproducing organisms, and whether they are oviparous or the viviparous. Viviparous means directly give rise to the young ones, so those are viviparous. With respect to reproduction, humans are sexually reproducing and viviparous in nature. Okay. So here reproduction involves the various events in the reproductive stage of the humans. Okay. So what are those sequential events which comes under the reproductive stage of the human beings? So the events are the list of events in reproduction in human beings involves. What are those events? The first one is, yes, Zahid? First marriage, right? Here the event is not like function, okay? So what are the physiological events are involved here? Yes? The first event is, I will meet her in some location, right? Or I met her first time in theater. That is what the first event, right? So here event means physiological process. The first event in the sexual the reproduction involves gametogenesis. What it is? Gametogenesis. What do you mean by gametogenesis? What is the meaning of this one? Yes, it is nothing but a production or the formation of the gametes. So in this gametogenesis, how many types are there? 2 types. What are those? So here, yes, gametogenesis is nothing but the formation or the production of the gametes. That is called as gametogenesis, and it is of 2 types. What are those 2 types? The first one is spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis in case of male or female? In males. Why? Because here the gametogenesis involves the formation of sperms, so it is called as spermatogenesis, and it takes place in males. Similarly, in case of females, this gametogenesis is called as oogenesis. Why it is called as oogenesis here? Yes, it involves the formation of ova, plural, ovum is the singular one. Okay, so it takes place in females, so it is called as oogenesis. So oogenesis and spermatogenesis are the two types of the gametogenesis in males and females respectively. Is it clear? That is what the first event in the reproductive stage of human beings. What after the formation of gametes? What is the next event means? Okay, next is spermation. See, what is the meaning of reproduction means? It involves the production of its own type by or through sexual act. Means the next is the sexual act which enable the transfer of gametes which are produced in the male sexual organs into the reproductive tract of the female. So that process is called as insemination. The next process is insemination. So what is the meaning of insemination? What this process means? Insemination is nothing but it is the process of transfer or transport of male gametes into female reproductive tract. Female reproductive tract, and this occurs through sexual act. Through sexual act or the intercourse or the coitus or copulation, so many words can be given for that process. Is it clear? So the second event is insemination. The first one is gametogenesis. What next after the insemination? So once the male gametes are released or transported into the female reproductive tract, what happens once the male gametes are introduced into the female reproductive tract? Next is fertilization. Nothing but the fusion of male and female gametes takes place. Okay, so that is what the next event. So before that, make a note of these points now. Once the male gamete are introduced into female reproductive tract, then what happens? The fusion of male and female gametes takes place. So this fusion of the male and female gametes, this process is called as fertilization. What is the product of fertilization? Yes, it results in the formation of a product, gametes, which leads to formation of a structure called as zygote. Okay, so zygote is the product of fertilization. What happens after the formation of the zygote? Implantation immediately it will take place. Yes, cleavage. So this zygote undergoes series of or the sequential cleavage, and it gives rise to the formation of a structure called as blastocyst. Once the blastocyst is formed, then this blastocyst undergoes. Once the blastocyst is formed, this blastocyst undergoes a process called as implantation. So what do you mean by implantation then? The next process is implantation. So implantation is nothing but the attachment. It is nothing but attachment of blastocyst where to uterine wall or endometrium of uterine wall. To endometrium, there are 3 layers in the uterine wall. In that innermost is the endometrium. So that innermost layer of the uterine wall, such a process is called as implantation. So implantation is attachment of the blastocyst, not the zygote. The zygote will develop as blastocyst. After that only the implantation takes place. Okay. What happens after the blastocyst implantation is over or attachment is over? The next process is gestation period. It is also called as the period of embryonic development. Period of embryonic development. So next is the period of embryonic development. The period of embryonic development. This period of embryonic development is also called as gestation or a gestation period. What is the duration of gestation period in human beings? 9 months. So that is 9 months. It is of 9 months in humans. 9 months in human beings. The comparison of the gestation period between different organisms that we will discuss later. Okay. This is what the embryonic development. In this period, okay, the zygote which is formed and developed as the blastocyst undergoes the further development and differentiation in order to form the fully developed fetus. Such a time period required for the development of the fully developed fetus from the fertilization point. Okay, from fertilization to the fully developed fetus, the time duration of the gap is only called as a gestation period or the period of embryonic development. Once the 9 months of gestation period is completed, what is the next step in that reproductive event? Yes, next step is Zahid. Okay, book an hospital, call ambulance. Right. Next step is that only, right? Nothing but parturition. Yes, how can you define the parturition here? The parturition is nothing but yes, it is the process of childbirth. It is nothing but the process of childbirth, are also called as delivery of fully developed fetus, which is called as infant. Okay, now it is called as infant. After the parturition, now it can be called as infant. Okay, before the delivery, it is called as fully developed fetus only. Once it is delivered out, means it is called as infant. Is it clear? So these are the events in human reproduction. Any other event is there, or this completes the events of the reproduction? What it will eat? Pizza, burger, or KFC, chicken, mutton? No, right? The next is providing the nutrition for that. Okay, what is it? A delivered baby. So that is called as, what is the next step then? Lactation. Next one is lactation. So what do you mean by lactation? It is so giving a nourishment for the infant, that is called as lactation. It is nothing but the process of giving nourishment to infant, and it is through which usually takes place through breast milk of mother. This is called as the lactation. Okay, so these are the various events in human reproduction. Any other events are there? Okay, so these are the sequential events which takes place in the human reproduction. Okay, what is the difference between the male reproductive event and the female reproductive event? How many of these events are exclusively for the females, and how many are there for the males only? Do all these events occur in males? Do all these occurs in females? Yes, what is it? So all these events are with respect, they are concerned with the females, but all these processes are not concerned with the males. See, up to the fertilization also takes place in the female reproductive tract. Okay, only the gametogenesis is applicable for male, and then insemination is applicable for both male as well as the female. Gametogenesis and insemination are applicable for both males and females. Remaining events that occurs in the females only. Is it clear? Okay, fine. So this is regarding the various events in the human reproductive stage or the human reproduction. Make a note of these points now. Yes, what is the difference? After birth, before birth. Asriya, any difference is there? Yes? Yes, after the differentiation of that spermatogonia, right? It gives rise to the formation of 4 haploid gametes in gametogenesis of males. What about in case of females? Only 1 gamete will be formed. That is one difference. Okay. Any other difference is there? Secondary? ಅದೇ ತುಂಬ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿರೋದು ನೀವು ಯಾವುದು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ. There is sperm is formed, here ovum is formed. Okay. So, difference, remarkable difference between the male and female reproductive event. One remarkable difference is that one. That is gametogenesis. We know that one. This gametogenesis begins at puberty in both male as well as the females. All these reproductive events begins at the puberty only. Nothing but the reproductive maturity. But gametogenesis, it comes to cease or stop at the age of around 50 years in males, right? Yes. In females. And such a stage or such a process is called as menopause. Means menstrual cycle will stop at the age around the 50 years. So no more oogenesis will take place. No more formation of the ovum takes place. But what happens in case of males? But in males, gametogenesis continues even in old age. It never stops. Okay. That is what the remarkable difference between the male and the female reproductive events. Any doubt in this one? And the more differences you can say, okay, during differentiation between the spermatogenesis and then the gametogenesis, which we discuss in the later part of this chapter only. Okay. Then let's come back to the human reproductive system, or the detailed description of the human reproductive system. What the human reproductive system consists of? Human reproductive system. In this human reproductive system, we know that reproductive structures are located at a pelvic region of the body. Pelvic region or the pelvis of the body. Human reproductive system contains various structures which are located at, so where they are located? At pelvic region. These structures can be differentiated into 2 types of structures, that is primary sex organs and then the secondary sex organs. And they are categorized as, these structures are categorized as primary sex organs and secondary sex organs. Primary sex organs and secondary sex organs are the structures. Yes, what is the difference between primary sex organs and secondary sex organs are the structures? Let us see that difference now. So which organs are called as primary sex organs? Means here these organs are these structures produces gametes. they produces gametes. That is what the primary function of the primary sex organ, production of the gametes, both in male as well as the females. Along with that one, and also synthesize and secrete. It also synthesize and secrete sex hormones. So only as they carry out both functions, production of gametes as well as the synthesis and secretion of the sex hormones, these organs are called as primary sex organs. Primary sex organs. What do you mean by secondary sex organs? These are the structures of reproductive system, but neither they assist or neither they are involved in the production of the gametes nor they secrete any sex hormones. Such structures are called as secondary sex organs. Okay, these structures neither produce gametes, okay, nor they secrete sex hormones. But they are important for reproduction. Such structures are called as secondary sex organs or secondary sexual structures. Okay. Here, the development of gonads. So these primary sex organs are nothing but these are called as gonads. These are called as the gonads. Here the examples are nothing but here the gonads only. There are two type of gonads are there, male gonads and then the female gonads. In case of male, these gonads are called as testes. In case of females, these are called as ovaries. So testes in male are the testis is called as male primary sex organ. In case of female, the ovaries are called as female primary sex organ. Primary sex organ. So both growth, development and functions of these gonads are under the control of the pituitary hormones called as FSH and then the LH. Which pituitary hormone? The hormones which are secreted from the anterior pituitary. So growth as well as development, and functions, and as well as functions of these gonads are maintained by, so these are maintained or regulated by LH and then the FSH, that is lutein hormone, which is secreted by anterior pituitary lobe. Is it clear? What are the examples for these secondary sex organs? They are not involved in the secretion of the sex hormones also and not the production of the gametes also, but they are important for the sexual reproduction or the reproduction process. So they are called as secondary sex organs. Examples of these secondary sex organs, nothing but here the accessory ducts and then accessory glands, and along with that one the external genitalia, both in males as well as the females. Okay, can you give the examples of accessory ducts in males? That is vasa deferens and then epididymis, yes, yadu retate testis. Okay, next, and then urethra, right? Urethra, vas deferens. So those comes under accessory duct, means ducts which helps in the transport of the gametes, outside the testis. Outside the testis are called as accessory ducts of male reproductive system. Okay, like that in females, accessory ducts includes fallopian tube. Okay, one pair of fallopian tube is there. Next, uterus, and then vagina. So along with that one, next is accessory glands. Means in males there are three types of accessory glands are there: prostate gland, bulbourethral gland, and then the seminal vesicles. In case of females, Bartholian glands. Okay, along with that one, usually one pair of mammary glands are considered as the only accessory glands in the females, but there are associated glands with the vaginal tissue. Those are called as Bartholian glands. Okay, so next is external genitalia. So similarly here, the external genitalia, in case of male it is called as penis. So this is in case of males, and in case of female, what the external genitalia is called as? No, what is the name given for that one? Yes, anyone from boys? What is the name given for the external genitalia in the females? Yes, it is vulva in case of females. Is it clear? So let's discuss about these things separately one by one. Any doubt in differentiation between the primary sex organs and the secondary sex organs? Any doubt in this one? Okay. So only the primary as well as secondary sexual structures. So male reproductive system, it includes or it consists of, first one pair of testes, right? One pair of testes as the primary sex organs of the males. Along with that one, accessory ducts. What are the accessory ducts here? Accessory ducts includes epididymis, rete testis, vasa, efferentia, next vas deferens or vas differentia. Yes, along with that one, ejaculatory duct, and then urethra. These are the accessory ducts of male reproductive system. Next, along with that one, it also involves the accessory glands of male reproductive system. What are the accessory glands which are present in the males? Means it includes seminal vesicles, and then prostate gland. How many prostate gland? Pair or one? It is single. Okay, it is a single structure. Seminal vesicles are in pairs. Prostate is only one. Next, bulbourethral glands. How many are there? Two. One pair. Bulbourethral glands. So these are the accessory glands. Yes, along with that, it also includes, and lastly, the external genitalia. External genitalia, nothing but the penis. Okay, so these are the structures which comes under the male reproductive system. Any doubt here? Let us start our discussion with the primary sex organs of the males, called as the testes. Written? Okay, before that one, you already know the representation of male reproductive system, right? The NCERT diagram only just refer to the reproductive system of male. So here will be the trigone of urinary bladder. This is what the urinary bladder, right? Okay, from where So these are called as testicular lobules. Or the testicular compartments. These lobules open into an anastomosous labyrinth. This is called as a rete testis. From the rete testis, okay, the ducts which opens outside, okay, through structures called as what these structures called as? These are called as vasa efferentia. Vasa efferentia. From the vasa efferentia, the structure arises is called as what it is called as vasa deferens. Okay, so this vasa deferens ascend through the ascend into the abdominal cavity. Next, it loop over the urinary bladder and becomes swollen. The swollen part is called as ampulla. Swollen part of the vasa deferens is called as ampulla. This ampulla meets or opens into the urethra, initial part of the urethra, and when it meets with the opening of the seminal vesicle and together open into the urethra, this is called as ejaculatory duct, which is called as ejaculatory duct. And here one pair of male accessory glands, what those are called as seminal vesicles. And then here the one peanut shaped structure, what is called the chestnut shaped structure, gland called as prostate gland. And then here the peanut sized structure, these are called as corpus gland or bulbourethral glands, right? Next, the extension throughout the penis or the penile shaft is called as urethra, right? Next, from here to here it is called as penile shaft, okay? And then the penis is surrounded by means of an skin, what is called as a loose fold of skin called as foreskin. And finally, urethra opens out by means an opening. This opening is called as glans penis or urethral meatus. So these are the parts of the male reproductive system. Is it clear? Let us discuss about the first one, that is testis. So let us discuss in detail regarding the testis. Yes, what do you mean by testis? The testis are male primary sex organs. These testes are the male primary sex organs, right? Where they are present, these testes, where they are located? In the pelvic region. One pair of testes. So they are situated. So these are situated in or enclosed within a pouch called or the pouch-like structure that is called as scrotum, right? So it is enclosed within the pouch-like structure. What that pouch-like structure is called as scrotum. So what is the function of scrotum in human beings then? What is the function of such a scrotum? So the scrotum, it helps in maintenance of temperature, which helps in the maintenance maintenance of low temperature which is required for spermatogenesis. If the temperature remains as normal as the body temperature in the testis, no spermatogenesis takes place. So temperature should be less than the normal body temperature, and that is being maintained by the scrotum. Okay. Then how much temperature will be present in the testis then, which is maintained by the scrotum? That is 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius less than body temperature. Less than normal body temperature. Means temperature will not be 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius. It is 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius less than the normal body temperature. What is the normal body temperature is? 37 degree. So less 2 degrees Celsius less than the 37 means either 35 or 2.5 degrees Celsius less than the normal means 34.5 degrees Celsius. That is what the optimum temperature required for the spermatogenesis to occur within the testis. Is it clear? Next. So when the development of the testis begins in the human males. Okay. When the development of the testis begins in human males. Yes. When this begins? Development. Yes. Development of testis. Development of testis begins during embryonic development only. Embryonic developments begins at embryonic stage only. Embryonic stage. Okay. So the development of the testis which begins at the embryonic stage within the abdominal cavity. That is within abdominal cavity. So with respect to the development, the testes are intra-abdominal. Means during the development at the embryonic stage, the testes are present within the abdominal cavity. So they are intra-abdominal. So intra-abdominal when during development. But we know that one, in order to be functional to produce the sperms, they must be present outside the abdominal cavity within a pouch called as a scrotum. So when these testes descend into that scrotum after childbirth, then when?
At the time of delivery.
At the time of delivery. Wow. Abdomen to scrotum. Testis comes from abdominal cavity into the scrotum only. When this will happen? At which stage of life? No. 6 months after the birth. Before the birth. One second question. Okay. When these testes which are intra-abdominal with respect to the development, when they will descend into the scrotum in order to be functional? That is not after birthday. It is during 7th month of fetal life, means during 7th month of pregnancy, or the 7th month of that embryonic development. During 7th month only, means what is that? During 3rd trimester. During 3rd trimester, or the beginning of the 3rd trimester. During 7th month of the fetal life only, these testes will descend into the scrotum. What happens if there is no descending of the testes into the scrotum in human beings? Disease. There is a disorder. Okay. What happens if the testes forget to descend into the scrotum, or the phenomena will not occur? That leads to the male sterility. Male sterility. What do you mean by sterility? Unable to produce the gametes. Such a condition is called as cryptorchidism. It is called as cryptorchidism. About that, okay, we will discuss later. Before that, make a note of these points now. So, testes will descend into, these testes will descend into scrotum. One means during 7th month of fetal life. During 7th month of fetal life. So here fetal life means within the mother womb, when it is in the embryonic condition or development of the embryo. So in that 7th month of that pregnancy, there will be a descent of the testis into the scrotum. Okay. For the descent of the testis into scrotum, it requires an hormone, or with the help of an hormone. What is that hormone? With the help of hormone secreted by the testis itself, that is testosterone. Testosterone or the androgens. The failure in the descent of the testis into scrotum results in a condition that is called as cryptorchidism. The failure of testis to descend into scrotum results in a condition, and that condition is called as called cryptorchidism. This is called as cryptorchidism. What this cryptorchidism leads to? This cryptorchidism that leads to male sterility. Why it leads to sterility? What happens if the testis remains in the abdominal cavity? Cannot produce gametes due to the high temperature. So the temperature will be as normal as the body temperature. At that temperature, spermatogenesis will not take place. Is it clear? For that reason, testis should descend into the scrotum and should be extra abdominal. So after the birth or after 7th month of fetal life or after 7th month of fetal life, the testis in humans will be extra abdominal. So they will be extra abdominal. Is it clear? They will become extra abdominal. So with respect to the development, the testes in humans are intra-abdominal. Then with respect to their function, okay, they are extra abdominal. So they remain functional if they will be extra abdominal. Is it clear? That requires an hormone. What is that hormone? Is called as a testosterone in order to descend the testis into the scrotum. So next, the testis remains, or the testis is attached to scrotum or scrotal wall by or through a structure called as gubernaculum. So what this gubernaculum means, which is an fibrous connective tissue. Gubernaculum, which is a fibrous cord extending from the caudal end of, means tail end of testis. Caudal end of testis. And made up of, and this one is made up of fibrous connective tissue. Such a structure is called as a gubernaculum. So testis attached to the scrotal wall by means of a structure called as gubernaculum, right? Next, such scrotum is attached to the abdominal cavity by means of an opening called as inguinal canal. Next, the scrotum is attached. Within the scrotum, testes are present, and testes are attached to the scrotum by means of gubernaculum. Such scrotum is attached to the abdominal cavity by means of an opening called as inguinal canal. Such scrotum is attached to abdominal cavity by an opening. What this opening is called as? This opening called as inguinal canal, which is called as inguinal canal. Is it clear? What are all the structures which arises from the scrotum or the testis region into the inguinal canal? Through this inguinal canal, what are all the structures passes? Spermatic cord, which includes spermatic duct, and then blood vessels, and as well as nerves. So nerves, blood vessels, and then the spermatic duct together surrounded by means of a tissue that called as spermatic cord. They open or they pass us through that inguinal canal into the abdominal cavity. So all these structures passes into abdominal cavity. Is it clear? Next, this scrotal sac is made up of two type of muscles. What are those two type of muscles? And what is their function means? The two type of muscles which are present here are nothing but the dartos muscle and then the cremaster muscle. Dartos muscle as well as the cremaster muscle that helps in positioning of testes. What do you mean by positioning of testes? Yes, positioning of testes, not the temperature. That positioning of testes is required for the maintenance of the temperature required for the spermatogenesis. Okay, positioning of testes is nothing but, so during the winter, for example, now winter is going on, right? The outer temperature will be less, right? So that may bring the temperature of the testes less than the normal or the optimal temperature required for the spermatogenesis. So in order to maintain the optimum temperature in the testis or increase the temperature of the testis than the outer environment, it must be brought near to the body, so that dartos muscles contract and it pull the testis near the inguinal canal or near to the abdominal cavity. So by that, the body temperature which tend to pass or being conducted to that testis will increase the temperature of the testis to optimal temperature of 34.5 to 35 degrees Celsius. Okay, and whenever the outer temperature is too extreme or more, that is during summer season, what happens at the time the testis must be pushed away from the abdominal canal, in order to provide the cooling effect, so that the temperature will be maintained 34.5 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, which is required for the spermatogenesis. So here, pulling the testis towards the abdominal cavity or pushing it away from the abdominal cavity as per the requirement, such a process is called as positioning of testis, and which is carried out by means of two type of muscles. What are those? Dartos muscle and then the cremaster muscle. Okay, so that is next, the dartos muscle of scrotum, and as well as one more muscle called as cremaster muscles. Both of them helps in positioning of testis. Positioning of testis. What is the meaning of that positioning of testis? Means that is, okay, they pull testis near abdominal wall or abdominal cavity, near abdominal cavity during winter, and push testis away from abdominal cavity, during summer, now to maintain the constant temperature in the testis which is required for the spermatogenesis. This process is called as positioning of testis, which occurs with the involvement of two muscles, the atlas muscle and cremaster muscles of the scrotal sac or the scrotum. Is it clear? So this is required in the basic information of the testis. Let us see. See, this type of maintenance of the temperature which is required for the spermatogenesis, if it is present in the human beings, means there are some exceptions are there among the mammals in which the testis will always not descend into the scrotum. Only they descend whenever required for the reproductive process, or in some organisms testis never descend into the scrotum and scrotum is vestigial in some organisms. Can you name those organisms? Can you give example for such organisms? Say, in some organisms, testis never descend into the scrotum. Testis never descends into scrotum, and the scrotum remains vestigial. What are the examples of such organisms? Even though scrotum is vestigial and the testis never descend into the scrotum, but the testis will remain functional without affecting the spermatogenesis. Here the examples includes, for example, Proboscidea, the organisms which belongs to the Proboscideae. Yes, what is that example here? Nothing but elephant. Nothing but the elephant only. Yes, along with that one. Next, Cetaceae. Can you give the example of Cetaceae? Order. These are the orders, okay. You know taxonomical orders, right? From species to the kingdom. In that order is the one taxonomical category, right? So these are the name of the orders to which such organism belongs. Cetaceae, which includes whale. Which whale? Red, blue, green. This is a blue whale, right? Yes, blue whale. Like that. The other examples includes, say for example, you can also include the sea cows. Okay. Next, armadillos. Sea cows as well as the armadillos. In these organisms, testis never descend into the scrotum, and scrotum is vestigial. For that, one more also you can include. What is that? Prototherians. Can you give the example for the prototherians? Ornithorhynchus. The example is Ornithorhynchus. What is the common name of Ornithorhynchus? Yes, duck-billed platypus, right? Duck-billed platypus. These are the some exceptions with respect to the position of the testis. Testis will not always be extra-abdominal. Some of the organisms it can be the intra-abdominal also without affecting its function. Next, other examples. Then, in some organisms, what happens to the testis means the testis descend testis descend into scrotum. Testis descend into scrotum only during breeding season. Only during breeding season, and remaining seasons it will be intra-abdominal. Intra-abdominal. What are the examples of such organisms? Yes, the very good examples of such organisms are the bat and otter. One is bat and next one is otter. You may be aware of how bat look like. Is a mammal or the bird? Is the only flying mammal, right? The only flying mammal, right? In that bat. And otter, okay, I will show the image of the otter later. Okay, is that clear? Those who are watching the online class, this is what the image of the otter. Nimi cancel. Is it clear?